From Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown, this is Sports Bash presented by TicketBash.com. TicketBash.com, where memories are made affordable and where you'll never pay a service fee. Check out TicketBash.com for some great flyaway packages available, including Jets versus Dolphins in Miami and Giants versus Falcons in Atlanta. Sports Bash is also presented by the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund, a group of like-minded individuals trying to raise awareness to our future generations of all possibilities of success other than just college. For more information, visit www.lookwhomadeit.org. Sports Bash brought to you by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike. Every customer is considered family at the Embassy Diner. Mention Sports Bash and get that free dessert with your meal. And our newest sponsor, Living Legends Memorabilia and Collectibles in Rockville Center, Long Island's go-to store for sports, entertainment, and political memorabilia since 1996. They're also available for charity auctions. Give Warren a call at 516-826-4000. By Bearcat Billing Service, your trusted partner in medical billing. Experience the Bearcat way, personal, professional, and tailored to your needs. Give Gary a call at 516-796-2400 and tell him Sports Bash sent you. By the Marty Lyons Foundation, the official charity of Sports Bash Media. Third annual Evening of Thanks Gala coming up next week, November 14th, at the Bourne Mansion in Oakdale. For more information, go to MartyLyonsFoundation.org. And by Collaborate Studios, a content marketing production facility. For more info, call them at 516-509-8277. Well, hi again, everyone. I'm Peter Schwartz. Phone number to call is 516-465-3990. Make sure you are subscribing to Governor's Comedy Club podcast on YouTube so you can follow along, comment if you'd like, and also get alerted to new shows on the channel. Later in the show, we're going to play Stump the Wiz. If we pick your question and you stump Wiz Kid, you'll win 2 tickets to see the Islanders take on Ottawa on January 14th at UBS Arena. We'll also have the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day. Our in-studio guest is one of the choices on that poll later on in the show. I don't want to embarrass him a little bit, but that's what's going to go on later in the show. And this segment is brought to you by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, where every customer is considered family. I had a chance to cover this guy when he played for the Islanders and still maintained staying in touch with him over the years. And he's doing some great work right now with Team Up for Community. I want to welcome into the program former Islander Steve Webb. It's good to see you, my friend.
Hey, thanks. I see you got the Stadium Series
jersey. I have. I try to dress for the part, depending on who we have on the show. Yesterday we had a Red Bulls player on, so I had a Red Bulls jersey on. So I try to, and it's very hard. I told you off the air, it's hard to find Islander stuff in like my size. I'm not exactly an XL or a 2XL anymore. So it turned out I was taking my kids to the game, the Stadium Series game, and we were in the store at Northwell. And the guy came out to me, knew I was in there all the time, whether I was covering practice or just going in with the kids. And he's like, we got something for you. I don't know if it fell off the truck or if it was a mistake or whatever. The guy came out with this sweatshirt and the same one in reverse colors, the orange shirt with the blue lettering. And, I just got both of them. Like, you know what? Thou shalt not pass thy offering. So if it was there, I got it. They're actually holding a 5XL Islander jersey for me that I'm going to have to go get at some point. So just don't let it
give it away.
Not that there's going to be 8 million big people walking in.
There could be. There could be.
I see people walking around UBS with big jerseys, and I'm wondering, like, where did they get those? It's like they could be a little pricey,
Yes, right. They can.
Well, first of all, again, thank you very much for coming in. And after your NHL career, you were able to stay in the area. I think you worked for the NHL, for a while, and now you're doing Team Up for Community. Tell us how this started and what the mission statement is.
Yeah, so listen, at the end of the day, we started W20 Foundation around youth sports, youth hockey, and things like that. And as we grew our footprint and wanted to make more impact, nationwide, we wanted to figure out, how do you do that? You can't be a presence in every place, every part of the state. I did a bike ride from Canada down to Long Island, raise funds, and but the one common theme that I saw in every city, doesn't matter if it was a one-stop sign town of 400 people in it, to New York City when I was riding through it on my bike, it literally, everything had sports. Sports fields were everywhere. It was consistent in every town you went through. So you knew that was one of the things that I really I love, and I love the values that sports has to teach us. Mm-hmm. And then how do we organize this on a macro level to get microtransactions to make macro impacts. And so we started figuring this out, and we started, how do we do this? And then that's where we started out. Our first thing was literally what's going on in this next month. It's been going on for, it already started, but it's the Long Island Sports Heroes Challenge, right? And we have a contest, and we basically want to give people, incentivize them a little bit to go out and do some community service during the holiday season. A lot of us are very fortunate. A lot of people out there aren't as fortunate during this time of year. There's a lot of angst and anguish, you know what I mean, of how to deal with this time of year. And so it's nice to see, to organize athletes to go out there and participate in their communities, find causes in their communities that are close to them that they want to engage with, and participate and just go do something for somebody else. And during this season, and we'd like to reward them with that. So that's where it all came from. That's where we started, and that's where we've been for the last 12 years.
When anyone starts one of these programs, and it's great work that you're doing, and you can look at any youth sports organization that gets off the ground. When you start it, it could be the idea of one person or two people, but it takes a village to be able to do something. It's not a one-person show or a two-person show. Your wife Teresa is very, active with it. Josh Blumenthal, a mutual friend of ours that's here in studio with us today, is part of it as well. So how grateful are you that this concept that you had, this great initiative that you wanted to tackle, post playing hockey, that you have this village of people around you that are so important to you and the cause?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that basically stand out to me that are great examples of leadership, right, and giving back to the community. You talk about Clark Gillies and his foundation, Patty LaFontaine and Companions in Courage, and then you watch Bobby Nystrom, the way he navigated, like an orchestra, basically going around to all the different events.
I don't think he ever said no to anything.
He was everywhere that I went, and he was always done it properly. And he basically just exemplified, what sports does and the impact sports can make on communities and people and organizations. And he's definitely, these guys are who I grew up around here, especially post playing, and guys that I really looked up to, and they really gave you motivation to really dive into the community, do more, give back, and try to impact people's lives in a positive way.
So the mission statement of your foundation is to encourage athletes and all individuals to take decisive action to create positive and lasting change in their local and global communities. And you kind of touched on this before when you said how important sports is for a kid growing up, or for anybody, that it's not just keeping score on the scoreboard. And obviously when you play a sport, you want to win. There's no question about it. It's 100%. In anybody's DNA and their blood. Like you play a game, you want to try and win. But it's not all about wins and losses. It is about teaching life lessons. It's about being part of a team. It's about discipline. It's about structure. And are those some of the examples that you try to get through when you're putting these events on as well?
Well, these events, right? You're trying to gather, you're trying to make people, you're trying to spread the word about community service and impact. Like if you can get a team out and doing something, it only takes a couple of people to put up their hands and then engage your team, right? Now it's a team building or exercise, right? Going to do something good for other people, the dopamine you get for that versus scrolling is probably greater, and basically the impact you can make on other people's lives, and then what it looks like from a team concept, about how you're kind of interacting with one another. Again, not everybody's the outgoing speaker when you go into hard environments. Like, not everybody's a LaFontaine when you do that stuff. Some of us are maybe shy,
Yeah.
But we want to be a part of it in a way. So when you're around, there's studies.
Some people speak louder with their actions and with and actually playing the game, as opposed to, we see that in pro sports all the time.
Yeah.
I am in the business for 35 years now, and you've got guys who played. It doesn't matter what sport it is. You go to talk to them after the game, and they don't really want to say anything, but on the ice or on the field or on the court, they do amazing things. So everybody is different, and that's really a unique thing about working in the community too.
And when you're around your teammates, and again, individuals can participate in all this stuff as well, because we like that, because they could showcase that you can go out and do stuff on your own with the right cause, the right right motivation behind what you're trying to accomplish. But when you're around your teammates, it's a little bit more comfortable. It's a little bit more comfortable of a setting of doing something hard, something that maybe you typically wouldn't do on your own. Mm-hmm. So to be around your teammates, it actually grows. It's actually statistically shows that when you're around your teammates, you'll do more things. And now, why not do productive things versus destructive things? And so that's why we try to, showcase the energy towards different challenges that we have throughout the year. And this is the one that basically got us off the ground, right? The Long Island, the Holiday Sports Challenge, the Heroes Challenge. We want everybody to be a sports hero this holiday season and to go out and do something great for somebody else and then impact it and then showcase the work. The reason why we want you to showcase it on the website is like a ripple effect. And then you basically, put a video together, showcase, you send it out there, show your neighbors, show your friends, and let them kind of share it to other people. Then you don't know who's going to do something else next that could impact somebody else's life. And so it's like a ripple effect. And that's why we want people to share what they're actually doing.
I think the great thing about charity and doing these kind of things is that there's a difference between wanting to do something and having to do something. And I think most times than not, when you have organizations like yours, or whether it's Marty Lyons Foundation or Clark Gillies had his foundation, and you mentioned Pat LaFontaine also, I think when you approach people the right way about getting involved, I think people really genuinely want to do things because they want to and not because they have to.
Yeah, and it's a ripple effect. Like, our ripple effect in sports is great. You got Boomer Esiason's, organization.
I forgot about Boomer, and I work with him sometimes.
Yeah, and then you got Matty Martin, like the ripple effect out of that. Like, he's really impacting Long Island, you know what I mean? And so, like, it is contagious when you see other people out there doing stuff, and you're like, okay, I want to put my hand up now. What can I do to impact somebody else's life in a positive way? So that's where we really gear it all towards.
Yeah. We're talking to Steve Webb. He's in studio with us, the former Islanders forward, and he is the founder of Team Up for Community. And you can go to their website and get more information about what they do. What were some of the recent activities that the organization has taken part in? We'll talk about what's coming up soon, but what are some of the other events that you've already had, and how much money has been able to raise for the cause?
Well, it just depends, right? We basically calculate a lot of things. We've done about $30 million in impact since we started, and over the last decade, and maybe a little bit longer. And so, just in this alone, we've raised about $770,000. Just the youth athletes have raised for different causes throughout their communities, right? And it could be like this one really good one out of Garden City. I write these down to make sure I get the details a little bit correct. But it's a couple of brothers teamed up together. So there's a teen project, as well as the brothers that put together Charlie's Champions Foundation, and they want to take care of the teens that are actually in NYU owned cancer center for kids during the holiday season, because a lot of people focus on the younger kids and bringing toys in and making sure they have a good experience. I know the Islanders do a good job with that, right? And then you got Toys for Tots and all that stuff going on, but these guys wanted to focus on the teens, and so they went out and fundraised and got money and collected gift cards for the teenagers that are actually in the hospital dealing with challenging times as well. So again, there's a lot of different ways to skin the cat here about how to help people, and that was just something unique that teenagers started thinking about other teenagers that are having a tougher time for them. And that's kind of like this. It's a really good example about what you can do in your local community.
So it's really as simple as, you have, let's say, a local youth sports team, and they want to be able to raise money. Let's say it's a baseball team, and they want to try and raise money to go to Cooperstown and play in a tournament, or you're a youth hockey team and you want to try to go up to Lake Placid and play in a tournament. Is it as simple as they want to raise some money, they contact your organization, and let's come up with an event that we can put on to try and raise those funds?
So a lot of our stuff is really geared towards, I'd rather you did community service work and then ask for participation rewards. Right. You know what I mean? Like, to give something back to your community before you start asking. Right. I think a lot of times people run around and we got this tournament to go to, and hey, by the way, support me. I'm going to have this really amazing experience up there. Mm-hmm. Okay, so why should I give you $50?
Right.
Why? Tell me why. Yeah. Like, what's, it's great you're getting this wonderful experience, but hey, by the end of the day is, what did you do for our community? So the idea is, well, how about you do something first before you put your hand out and start asking, showcasing the team and the organization showcases what type of other lessons are they actually focused on teaching these kids, versus X's and O's, or throwing a ball or kicking a ball, or just what else are you teaching them that I think it's valuable enough to give my money to you?
So if you're a young man or a young woman and you're volunteering in your school at the snack shack for the football games, or you're working with the local special needs youth organization and things like that, and you're doing that stuff, and you're in the National Honor Society and all those kind of things, and then you say, I want to be able to do something. I've done all this work, but you know what? There's something I want to do that's more than that, and that's where your group comes in.
Yeah, that's where we focus on. We focus on how can you impact other people in a positive way. If you want to go around and do the other stuff, there's other ways to do it, but I still think that you should do the community thing first, impact somebody else's life, then put out then I need some support for our team. Because again, sports, as we've talked about in here, is just like, it's very costly. The numbers are continuing to rise.
It's ridiculous. It really,
and
some
it
of
is
the
hard.
some of the sports are more expensive than others. I mean, you played hockey. I mean, I've heard one of my doctors, my ear, nose, and throat doctor that treats our family, and his kids have played hockey. No. And here's a doctor that makes, God knows how much money the guy makes, right? Yeah. And he'll always say to me, "Would you believe it cost me this amount of money for my kid to play hockey and this amount of money?" So the costs are exuberant these days.
So you can see why fundraising is necessary.
Yeah.
Right? But fundraising just in the flip mode versus just asking, go ahead and do something first. Showcase the work that you're doing. You can do that on our site and take your video and then upload it and show it and then share it. Then you can basically get some fundraising that way. So there's just other ways to do it. I just think that, exposing kids, you know what I mean? They're getting all these benefits, right? Just going to a tournament isn't the experience. It's the process of how you got there. And maybe the part of the process is you had to fundraise for it, but you did it through a way that you actually did something for other people.
It's funny. Not funny. It's interesting. You mentioned all the other former Islanders that take part in charities, whether it's Matt Martin, Pat LaFontaine. You mentioned Gillies. We talked about Nystrom and LaFontaine. All these guys have done all these different things, and I think the common denominator is being part of the Islanders. And I mean, I've been a fan of the Islanders since I was a kid, and got lucky enough to be able to to cover the team over the last number of years. And it's just so amazing how the Islanders, and I guess there's a reason why the map of Long Island is on the logo, because they are so entrenched in the community. And as someone like yourself that played for them for 8 years, is that really where you got the bug to be able to give back to the community, seeing how important the Islanders have been to Long Island?
Yeah, well, listen, being here and being able to participate on the Islander, at the Nassau Coliseum, right, and the fans that show up there and really appreciated the work ethic that you put in there on a day in and day out basis, right? And they're the ones that actually made it extraordinarily fun and exciting to be an Islander when I was here. But then, like you said, it's just, I talked to a couple of the other guys that I've mentioned earlier, and they always talked about, how Torrey and Al Arbor really emphasized the importance of community. And I think in the 80s, and their lead up to that, I think even the late 70s, like even before they started winning, I think there was such a community culture to the organization, being out here on Long Island, not in the city. They were really participating. I remember the guys talking about all the baseball games used to play in the off season. Like, they were really a part of the community, and they were a thread. They were a thread in the community's fabric, and they really instilled that, and they lived that on a daily basis, and that was contagious.
I'm going to mention someone's name that works for the Islanders now, and I know that you know her, and I know you've probably worked with her a lot. I think when you talk about rock stars that have worked for the Islanders organization over the years, and I think there's that Hall of Fame banner that hangs now from the rafters at UBS Arena, and they hung it up at Nassau Coliseum. But I think one day somewhere down the road, Ann Rinna's name has to be on that banner, with the amount of work. And sometimes she'll see me at a game. I heard you talk about me on the radio. Like, it's a little embarrassing. I think she gets a little embarrassed by it, but I don't think she should. But I think when you look at the amount of work that the Islanders do in the community, and the work that her and her staff they're able to do, and even during the pandemic, when the Islanders made that run in the bubble, to be able to put events on at Northwell, drive through things, I was so impressed, and I've been impressed. I'm glad I could call her a friend. Now, I'm just wondering how much you learned from her, and seeing how she ran community relations for the Islanders, and has it rubbed off on you a little bit, the way that she operated with the Islanders and how you're doing with your foundation now?
Well, it's funny. Back in the day, I still remember us at the old, I think what town were we in, where we had the Islanders office? Plainview. Yeah. And we worked together, and we actually worked on community projects together. And so her and I actually spent time together as she was coming into the organization, as I was kind of starting my next phase of what my life was going to be like outside of playing the game. And so we spent a lot of time together in those spaces, dealing with alumni stuff, dealing with basically projects, going to schools and talking at schools and doing all those things together. We used to do all those things. And so we definitely bounce things off each other when we need ideas, need suggestions, or they need stuff from us, and we might need some things for them, from them. Like, we work together on those items, and she is like a rock star in that capacity, and what she does and how she's built it over the years, right? Again, she's had to do a lot of the work on her own and grind and get these things done. They're not the things that are on you're not getting like the headlines every day, but you are doing the things that matter in the community, and you're connecting the Islanders throughout the community from basically I guess now is from basically the Empire State Building in Montauk. Gotta make sure I get that right.
That's the one thing. The one thing, like you go to the Islander games now, we're going to talk about hockey when we come back after the break. But I'm not so sure, and the Islanders do so much for me and my family, and they're so good to us. And I hate saying anything that's on the negative side. It's not my nature to do it. But there's just something about I'm sitting there, whether I'm there at the game with my family or the other night I was covering the game, and that opening video comes up, and they put up the Empire State Building, and this whole like New York City thing, and it just. Something about it just doesn't rub.
There are Islander fans that grew up in the island, that live in the city, and they, you got to basically tie it all together.
I don't think Empire. I don't think. Listen, if the Islanders win the Stanley Cup and you want to light the Empire State Building, blue and orange for a week, that's fine. I get it, but it's just something I don't like the too much attention being paid to New York City.
That'll be a good debate to have when we get to that point.
We'll see what happens. I'll have to have a chat with John Ledecky about that. Sometimes I think I have his ear on some things. Steve Webb is my guest. Let me just ask the website for Team Up for Community if people want to get involved and do fundraisers through your organization.
Yeah, it's teamupforcommunity.org. Very simplistic. It's TU4C.org to make it short form. If you guys want, just listen. It's an easy process. Get your athletes involved.
Did Van Halen's album OU812 have any kind of impact on how you did
that? There's no musical connection at all. I definitely would not be able to have that vibe at all, but there's not. Not. So, but anyways, it's very simplistic. You can go on there, you can sign your team up, you can get a chance to upload a video to our site, you get a chance to get, to win a prize. We don't decide it's how many views you share it out there, how to share it. We don't want to decide what's more important to somebody versus somebody else. Get out there, get involved. We've had about 110,000 athletes participate in this in the last 12 years. Our numbers will keep continuing to rise. We want to continually break those numbers year after year and add to them and constantly make an impact in our communities around times like the holidays or different various times throughout the season.
Awesome. Steve Webb, former Islander and the founder of Team Up for Community, is my guest in studio here on Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com. Still more to come with Steve when we come back. We're going to talk a little hockey with the former Islanders forward. We'll talk about his time with the Isles. We'll talk about the current team. But first, a couple of words, and we'll be back with more Sports Bash coming up right after this. Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage.
At Chiropractic Care Plus, Dr. Anthony Ippolito has been helping Long Islanders recover from pain and injuries since 1993. Whether from auto accidents, work injuries, or everyday aches, they use proven methods to get you back to your best. Chiropractic Care Plus is located at 1 John Street, Suite 150 in Babylon, New York. Call 631-669-6221 to schedule your appointment today.
Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
Joseph out of the net. Around for Lume. Webb finishes check on Lume. 12 seconds to go in the period. And Tucker creamed along the boards by Webb. Bates on the puck. Darcy Tucker was hit hard by Webb as the period expires. I'm not sure Tucker touched the puck, Howie. I'm not sure he touched the puck. Webb had him zeroed in. There was another lead player there. I think Webb went right past him. Did he touch the puck? No. Should have been a penalty. looking for one. I don't blame him. I think there should have been a penalty on Webb there. Tucker didn't touch the puck. Well, the Islanders get away with one there, and they go into period number 3, leading by 1, and a chance to tie the series. This was the first big hit by Webb, clean on Lume. And then as it came around the boards, I don't think Tucker ever touched it. He reached for it. Didn't look to me like he touched it, but the referee, Dvorsky, was right on top of things.
Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com. I'm Peter Schwartz. My in-studio guest is former Islander Steve Webb, the founder of Team Up for Community. And as we came back from the break, we saw the video of your outstanding hit on Darcy Tucker in the 2002 playoffs against the Maple Leafs. By the way, that was Howie Rose and Joe Micheletti with the call on Fox Sports Net back in 2002. And we were looking up at the monitor watching that, well, I think, and there's no question about it in my mind, and I'm totally objective on it, a completely 1,000% clean hit on that filthy guy, Darcy Tucker.
Oh, I don't know about filthy, but
he took Mike Pekka out of the playoffs.
I'll call it a clean hit. Definitely was everything was clean in that series. It seemed like from the rule book they didn't really throw the book at too many people. They could have probably we could have got some benefit there with some suspensions, but I guess the league didn't see that it was needed.
No, they didn't. And Darcy Tucker got the play on. Michael Pekka didn't. Returned next year. But I think back and you spent 8 years with the Islanders, and that 2001-2002 season was so special, and it got off to an interesting start because that was right after 9/11.
Yep.
And you guys, I remember driving up to Lake Placid. I had just gotten hired by ESPN Radio, and we had just signed locally Islanders to their broadcasts were on ESPN Radio. And one of the first assignments a weekend that they gave me, they said, "Listen, we'd like you to go up to Lake Placid and go cover Islanders training camp for a couple of days." And I driving up, that was a beautiful morning that day, and I think I was right around Albany when the first plane hit the tower. And you guys were already up there in Lake Placid. Camp had been up, going on for a couple of days already. And I think it just, it was such a horrible thing for everybody to go through. And I remember Peter Laviolette was your brand new coach, and it was just a weird situation that you guys are in the middle of training camp as 9/11 is unfolding. What are your memories about that and trying to somehow focus on working?
That was having to go back on the ice that day was kind of interesting when you have we're the four of us the guys that I live with, we were all living in Garden City. And a lot of Long Island was kind of hit, but knowing that your neighbors are impacted and people that you associate with in the community were heavily impacted. Losing friends and family members and fathers and sons and wives and stuff like that. So I think I think those impacts rippled through. They still are today. You still see people today, and you talk about it, and you see their the memorials they're putting up and what they're doing, or the events that they're putting on for people that. Were in the towers and or went in to save people in the towers, and people could have been in different places. People could have been in work that day, but they decided to stay home, and just all these really interesting stories that continue to be shared today. And going on the ice was the last thing on our minds, but we ended up going out there, which is I was kind of curious about why we did that, but. They thought that maybe it was the best thing to do at that time, but it was a pretty interesting time when you turn on TV and that's all you see.
It sure was. It was rough, and sports provided some tonic for people to kind of take their minds off of everything. The Yankees wound up going to the World Series. Yeah. The Jets went to the playoffs that year, and then you guys, and it had been a while since the Islanders had made the playoffs, and I remember that game you guys clinched the playoff spot in that year. It was against the Capitals. And I want to say the score was like 6-2 in the third period. And, I've been sitting up in the press box. And I'm like, you know what? I want to go downstairs and stand in the seats a little bit, just kind of like feel what the crowd is going through. And then the Capitals keep coming back at 6-3. I think it's 6-4, 6-5. I'm like, oh, you can't let this slip away here. And you wind up making the playoffs, and then you play the Leafs. But before I talk about the Leafs, you knew what the history was because you had been with the team for a few years. What was it like finally as a relief to make the playoffs that year?
Yeah, no, there's a lot of up and down years. The first couple of years I was here, The different ownership changes we went through. The Spano years was my first year.
Did you ever meet him?
I was my 7th game in. It was basically at Hartford Civic Center, and he came down below with Mike Milbury, and they came in with Bones, and they literally said that, John would like me to focus on GM duties. Rick Bowness is going to be your new head coach. And Spano really didn't say much. He just was there. And again, me being a young guy, probably not paying close attention to the details other than I want to go out on the ice. But so, we met him a couple of times through that process and through all that. But we had a unique event down in his house. Well, supposedly his house down in Dallas. But anyways.
Did you see the 30 for 30 that ESPN did on him, the Kevin Connolly piece?
Yeah,
was it fairly accurate as to what happened?
Yeah, and there's so many more details in behind the scenes that went on, but I was 21-year-old kid, wearing the Fisherman jersey, pretty happy.
It's funny because
I
wanted to bring that up because I went into the closet and brought, so people will hopefully remember. But when you made your NHL debut, this is the jersey that they were now. So you were not around for when they unveiled it, right? That's when you came up after they unveiled it. So what were your?
I think I was the second year.
It was the second year, and they only wore it for 2 years because then they went to the hybrid and then back to the regular. It's had such an unbelievable history, both bad and good and interesting, and for any other word you want to put on it. But what were your thoughts on wearing this?
It was my first jersey I put on in the NHL, and for a guy that was probably never supposed to step foot on the ice, and I was told that by a few people, in order to be able to put that on and represent the island, I was very proud to put that on. And to step on the ice in that jersey. So I loved it. Mm-hmm. And I think they've done a really good job of, I know there's a debate going on about the teal or the dark, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like the colors they have tied in now. I actually got my son one for that. So, so I like these colors they have tied in.
I remember when they were closing the Coliseum the first time in 2015.
Yeah. And
they had a night where they had somebody working in their office. I forgot what the person's name was, but they acknowledged, listen, the Fisherman was part of our history at Nassau Coliseum, so they had a night where the Islanders wore warm-up jerseys, and they auctioned them off for charity, really, I think, for the Islanders Children's Foundation, and they just said, that's it, we're getting rid of it, you'll never hear from it again, and sure enough, a couple of years ago, they bring it back as a reverse retro jersey, and there's a whole nother generation. My kids love it.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? I got the jersey back in the day. I wasn't thrilled about it, but it became such a cult following. Nick Hirshon wrote the book.
Yeah.
We want fish sticks and
or no more fish sticks was the really.
Well, that's right. No more.
That was the chant in the last game of the season. Was no more fish sticks.
The
whole place was chanting the place.
The worst part about the Fisherman jersey was going to the games in the Garden, and you had the Ranger fans dressing up like the Gorton's Fishermen, mocking. That was the absolute worst. But you got through it, and you wound up going to the playoffs. That Maple Leaf series, we saw the Darcy Tucker hit.
Yeah.
I can't remember the Coliseum being as loud. And I went to Stanley Cup playoff games as a kid growing up during the Dynasty years. But I don't remember the Coliseum being as loud as when Sean Bates scored the penalty shot.
Yeah.
Your hit, the roof went off the place too, but I don't remember the Sean Bates penalty shot. I don't think I ever heard the Coliseum as loud as it was.
Well, yeah, you got to remember 8 years, and even prior to those guys, back in 92, 93, and that, and they made it on the run, there was a long gap in between all the excitement. So the 8 years, I think fans were just all bent. They're all they had all this emotions inside of them. And
well, think about what they went through. You mentioned the ownership stuff and
I think we had 4 owners in 4 years.
Yeah, and it was the
5 years.
The Coliseum stuff. The one ownership group, remember, they were claiming that the scoreboard was going to fall, and they wanted to go there, that, and the other. Yeah. And then, Charles, God rest his soul, he came in, and without him, I don't think this team is playing here right now.
There's a good possibility, right? That and the Cablevision deal.
Yeah, well, that helped too. You could always get out of that.
The economics.
But obviously now things are in a much better situation now with. Charles sold the team to John Ledecky and Scott Malkin. What a great ownership group they've done. They got UBS Arena built, and I know you've been there a number of times. And after the Islanders went through all of that nonsense of going to Brooklyn and not knowing where they're going to go, back to the Coliseum, And to have a place like UBS Arena now where they play now, like I walk in there, I still do it. I walked in there the other night to go cover the game against the Penguins, and I'm like, wow, the Islanders play here. Like, and I miss the Coliseum. I grew up with the Coliseum. I love the Nassau Coliseum, and I still try to get to events there, the few that they have left. But the fact that the Islanders are playing in that Palace is just, it's unbelievable to me.
Yeah, compared to where we were for a long period of time, I think, what is it, like 20 years they were trying to get a new stadium?
Yeah.
And finally somebody came in with a little bit of a different vision, a little bit, took it out of its, core location in the middle of
It's
Nassau
still Hempstead
County.
Turnpike.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
It's still Hempstead Turnpike.
I'm with you. I'm with you and all this
like,
stuff. I think it was a great choice. I think it was too bad it wasn't in the middle of a Nassau County, and now the benefits we would have had if we had that built right in the middle of Nassau County,
right next to the Coliseum. If they could have just gotten it done and politics.
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of stories behind the scenes that transpire.
But they have a 516 area code, and they're on Hempstead Turnpike, and everything is okay.
And then you got the experience. The Belmont. I just flew over it on my way back from meetings from out west, and flying over UBS and just seeing that, the marketing of that, and just the size of it that we have. And
have you seen the retail village yet?
And just you see the retail villages coming, and then you got Belmont's getting all redone. It's going to be a really unique. Fan experience when you get you're almost going to go there for the afternoon or get there a little early.
And the All-Star game is coming in 26.
You got the outdoor skating area that opened up there last year, doing a really good job. A kid that Pat and I coached, Mr. Dylan Holtz, helps organize and execute on that front. So it's good to see that. Good to see those the young kids involved. And so I think just the whole vibe and feel is just a little bit different down there. Again, it's not the Coliseum, tailgating, and all that fun stuff, right? So you're always going to miss some of those unique features that you had at the Coliseum. But at the same time, is you have this unbelievable state-of-the-art facility for other venues, for other events, for families. You know what I mean? You talk about people going to Disney on Ice, and it's a nice thing to have here in Long Island.
It's great for concerts too. My family and I went to Billy Joel last New Year's Eve. We're still trying to figure out a way to get in this New Year's Eve, but we went last year New Year's Eve, and the place is great for concerts. I got to ask you about the current team. Obviously, listen, you were involved with teams in your career that struggled, and teams that went to the playoffs, and not everything goes the right way. Guys get hurt. There's injuries. They're dealing with that right now, and I was very impressed with the way that they came back in the third period the other day against a good Penguins team and come back and win that game in the shootout. What are your thoughts on the current team, and do you think they can get going here out of this malaise and make a playoff run?
It's hard to say. There's a lot going on in this. There's a lot of changeover happening. There's a changing of the guard, I think, in the division a little bit, and you can see the shifts. But again, Washington coming out the way they did this year, the way they have, has kind of been unique. I don't think anybody was really expecting that, but they seem to be doing well. But overall, listen, you have the core guys. Like I know that everybody talks about. You have the core guys, and they kind of know how to win. They know how to deal with hard times. They've dealt with it for years. This is one of the winningest groups since the '80 guys. I know they didn't get. They went to to go to a conference final twice, back-to-back years. The excitement that brought to the fan base, I think just raises the expectation, which is kind of hard. But you got a lot of guys in that locker room that they definitely want to win. They feel it, and we'll see where it all ends up. But it's definitely a changing of the guard in the division, but it's not concrete yet. It's not really concrete. It's the shuffling of the deck right now. So anything can really happen throughout the season.
No question about it. And I think they have a lot of talent on that team. Everybody can get healthy, and we'll see what happens. And normally I do this later in the show, but because you're here for this segment, I'm going to do the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day.
Okay.
Right now, we do this every day on the Sports Bash Media X/Twitter page. I generally pick a question. It's not a dictatorship. I do take input from everybody on the staff, my family. Sometimes my kids have come up with questions. I came up with this one myself. So, aside from the dynasty years, who was the best enforcer in Islanders history? And I give you four choices. So one obviously is Steve Webb. The other one is Mick Fucota. I also put Matt Martin on there, and I say other, comment below. And unlike other polls, please, if you're going to pick other, comment below, make sure you comment. Don't just click other, because then I don't know who you want to write in your vote for. So Steve Webb, Mick Fucota, Matt Martin. obviously take yourself out of the equation.
I would take myself out of that question, period.
I had to put you in there.
Like, willingness is there, but the enforcer tag is probably a little bit exaggerated. The willingness.
Darcy Tucker would say you're a pretty good enforcer.
Yeah, not really. I'm talking, when you talk enforcer, you talk about the heavyweights. You know what I mean? The Vakotas, the road. Like, hey, Mick Vakota, in my first training camp, I think he had 6 fights in my first 3 days there because I kept hitting Derek King and kind of opened everybody's eyes. And you don't hit Kinger, and everybody came after me. It was a lineup every single day. And so I think it was funny because Mick broke my orbital bone. I actually, one of my childhood friends I grew up with was actually in camp as a goalie. He was a draft pick of the Islanders, and I was a walk-on. I went in and just and for some reason, Mick was playing defense in camp. I don't know why that happened. Anyways, and I poke-checked my buddy as a joke, and next thing you know, I'm lying out with my back, straight back, broken orbital or cracked orbital, and so that was my first experience with tangling with Mick. Matty Martin, there's a picture of me and Matty back in Windsor when I was playing for the Spitfires, and Matty being a few years junior of me, he was just a little guy, and his mom took a picture, and Matty was trying to fight me at a Skate with the Spits event, and Matty was looking up, gloves dropped, looking up at me like this, trying to fight me. So you know, all those guys definitely.
I got to see that picture.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to ask Matt if he has it, and I see him in the locker room with him.
Yeah, he sent it to me. I've been trying to find it for a while, but he had sent it over to me. His mom. It was a Polaroid picture, right?
Yeah.
Back in the day, in the early '90s. So yeah, that was a pretty fun, funny picture to see that and see where Matt is and the type of human being he's become today here in Long Island. And I assume he'll be one of those guys that stays here for a very long time.
So a Peterborough, Ontario young man has now found a home on Long Island after playing here and now raising your family here and living here. How did that happen, and how happy are you that you landed on Long Island?
I love Long Island. I love all the people in Long Island. Love all the opportunities that exist here in Long Island. I just think it's a workman mentality. People come here, they work hard, they go in the city, they come out, they have everybody, all walks of life here in Long Island. I just love all the amenities that we have here. We are close proximity to the city. We have great culture here. The foodies, the people who like foodies is available if you want it.
Embassy Diner. Make sure you mention Sports Bash. You get that free dessert with your meal.
And then, just the water and the golf and just the people. I love it. I love my kids that get to grow up here.
Awesome. Steve, I can't thank you enough for coming in and talking about its Team Up for Community. Steve Webb founded it, runs it with his wife Teresa and a cast of thousands, and you can go to their website, get more information. It's such a great organization to promote youth sports and community work and service and raising money. And again, I can't thank you enough. It's great to stay in touch all these years, and let's not make it go this far again without seeing each other. Promise you'll stop in again and say hello.
That sounds great.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Former Islander Steve Webb. Great to have him in studio. When we come back, we're going to play Stump the Wiz with Wiz Kid. I've got some thank yous to give also. We'll see if any tickets checks in from ticketbash.com. We'll also have This Week in Sports History with a brand new sponsor. We'll tell you about it when we come back.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage.
At Chiropractic Care Plus, Dr. Anthony Ippolito has been helping Long Islanders recover from pain and injuries since 1993. Whether from auto accidents, work injuries, or everyday aches, they use proven methods to get you back to your best. Chiropractic Care Plus is located at 1 John Street, Suite 150 in Babylon, New York. Call 631-669-6221 to schedule your appointment today.
Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage.
At Chiropractic Care Plus, Dr. Anthony Ippolito has been helping Long Islanders recover from pain and injuries since 1993. Whether from auto accidents, work injuries, or everyday aches,
Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com. Welcome back to Governor's Comedy Club here on Long Island in Levittown. Peter Schwartz, we thank Steve Webb, the former Islander, again for stopping by and saying hello. We're going to have Stump the Wiz in just a minute, but as you'll see here on the table, I'm going to hold it up. This is the WestCon football helmet. You know, my son Bradley plays for WestCon football, and they are off to a 6-2 start to the season, and a big game coming up this week against Framingham. 2 more home games to close the season, and then the postseason will come up. So I just wanted to say good luck to Bradley, Coach Loth, the rest of the players and coaches on the team. Good luck on Saturday. We'll be up there to see the game. Before we get to Wiz, a couple of other pieces of business I want to take care of. If you watched our old show, Sports Bash, back when we were on LI News Radio and streaming on Facebook, we did have at one point the principal of Wantagh High School, Paul Gazzone, came on, and they did this great event called the Wantagh Warrior 9/11 Memorial 5K and Fun Run. They did it on September 22nd at Wantagh High School, and they raised a lot of money for the foundation. Gary Sinise Foundation was a partner with them on it. It was a wonderful event. I don't know what the exact number of dollars was that they raised, but they raised a lot of money. And so thanks to Jen Barrett from Wantagh High School, and thanks to Dr. Paul Gazzone, the principal, because they sent over, for us mentioning the event, they sent over a nice little swag bag. I got this mug. I've got this hat. I don't know if the MacArthur High School family will appreciate it, but we will make good use of this Wantagh hat. And also, I got this really nice shirt. Let me see if I can open this up. Oh, there's a piece of paper behind it. From Gary Sinise Foundation, Wantagh Warrior logo, and a nice big Wantagh Warrior logo on the back. So we thank them very, very much for that. I wanted to make sure we said thank you. And now, are you ready for Stump the Wiz?
I'm ready.
Absolutely. Okay.
I'm ready for it.
I know Tony's going to kill me because I went off script a little bit there.
It happens.
So you're all right. You're all right. See, he never sweats. I've never seen a man. You sweat during Stump the Wiz.
I sweat sometimes.
You've sweated since we started Stump the Wiz.
My hands sweat a lot.
Yeah.
I've never seen Tony sweat once.
I mean, he does a show every day. Then he gets a half an hour break, and he's got to deal with our nonsense now twice a week. But I mean, the man is unbelievably. He's never tense. You know, if something goes wrong, you never know about it. Not that anything has gone wrong, but in any event,
tense Tony.
We ask you to play. We play Stump the Wiz every Thursday now here on the show, and what we do is we ask you to send in your best sports trivia question to the Sports Bash Media X/Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook page. Don't publicly share it because we don't want this guy to see it. It has to come to me, or it's got to come to Tony, or it's got to come to the staff of thousands here at Sports Bash Media. So we did get a great question this week, and the person who gets to ask you the question, if that person stumps you and you don't get the question right, they're going to get 2 tickets to see the Islanders take on the Senators. And I just want to make sure I got the date correct on it. It's the Islanders and the Senators on January 14th at UBS Arena, and the tickets courtesy of our friends at TicketBash.com. Tony's going to have 2 minutes on the clock, and the question comes from our good friend Glenn Goldstein from Flushing.
Okay.
Okay,
Good.
He's been a very, very loyal viewer and listener of the show, and he sends in, I think, what is a phenomenal question this week. I'm not sure if you're going to get it or not. Sometimes I have a feeling about this. Sometimes I don't. I really, to be honest with you, with Steve Webb coming in studio, I really didn't think much about your feelings. Wait, that didn't sound right. Tony's going to fall out of his chair laughing.
My feelings on Steve Webb, or
No, your feelings in general. But that came out as an insult. I did not intend that to be an insult to you. Obviously, you didn't take it as an insult because you're smiling. You haven't smacked me upside my head yet. So, so let's proceed here. Glenn Goldstein from Flushing, New York, asks, there has been one pitcher in Major League Baseball history who has pitched for both New York teams, Mets and Yankees, both Los Angeles teams, the Dodgers and Angels, both Canadian teams, the Blue Jays and Expos, and also won at least one game in all 4 Canadian ballparks, Jarry Park and Olympic Stadium in Montreal, Exhibition Stadium and Skydome / Rogers Center in Toronto. We have 2 minutes on the clock. Do you need to repeat the question first before Tony sets the clock up?
let me just see. Both New York teams, both LA teams, and both Canadian teams RIP Expos.
And won a game in all 4 Canadian ballparks. You ready?
So Mr. Canada.
Ready? 2 minutes on the clock. Tony Walker, and away we go.
It's got to be some sort of journeyman then, I assume. I'm assuming that if it was, because this was before an interleague play, obviously, because you had both Jarry Park and you had Olympic Stadium and Exhibition Park and the Skydome. So this was before interleague play. So that also means that he played both for the NL and the AL of both of those areas, the NY area and the LA area, and of course the 2 areas of Canada of Montreal and Toronto.
Just so you know, the clock, I screwed the clock up again, so that it's going to start again at 2. But,
Okay,
so
but
around,
you're keeping kind
yeah,
of track
I'm
of it?
keeping. Yeah, I got it. I got
Okay.
it.
I also know that when it came to Olympic Stadium was open before the Skydome, so I'm assuming just based on that he played for the Expos before he played for the Blue Jays. Just basing off of that myself. I just feel like he's some
So
sort of
for those who are tuning in late, we're going to give him a little extra time because the clock had a malfunction, but we're looking for one pitcher in Major League Baseball history to pitch for the Mets and Yankees, the Dodgers and Angels, the Blue Jays and Expos, that's the 2 New York teams, the 2 LA teams, the 2 Canadian teams, while also winning at least one game in all 4 Canadian ballparks. Approximately how much time does he have left?
oh boy.
He has around 30 seconds left.
Around 30 seconds
Can
left.
you give me a hint? Like, is this like a journeyman or something?
I'm going to give you a hint. Sammy Davis Jr. is your hint. Tony knows who it
I
is.
think I'm not positive.
It's a relative of his, I assume.
No.
But the last name, I'm guessing?
Who can make the sun rise?
Yep.
The Candyman.
50
Tony
sec-
Todd.
15 seconds.
Tony Todd. Like, that's what I think of the Candyman.
5 seconds.
5 seconds to go.
I'm going to assume it's like...
Yep, you're out of time.
John Candelaria.
Oh.
Left-handed pitcher who I did see pitch a game at Yankee Stadium. No joke, complete game, 2-hit shutout. Jack Clark played for the Yankees at that time, hit a mammoth home run for the only run of the game. It was 1-0. And I remember I was sitting, I can't remember what I had for breakfast this morning, but I remember sitting in the lower level in right field an hour and 58 minutes.
Hey, I was stumped. Glenn, good job.
John, there you go. So Glenn Goldstein from Flushing is off to see the Islanders take on the Ottawa Senators January 14th at UBS Arena. I did have something else I wanted to cover, but what I'm going to do is tell you to do This Week in Sports History. And This Week in Sports History is brought to you by Living Legends Memorabilia and Collectibles, located at 124th South Long Beach in Rockville Center, Long Island's go-to store for sports, entertainment, and political memorabilia since 1996. They're also available for charity auctions. Give Warren a call at 516-826-4646. 4,000. You're up while I get my act together here.
Might get my act together too.
Keep going.
On this day in 1990, no, not that day. On this week in 1996, it was November 3rd. Kobe Bryant made his debut in the NBA, and at that time, he was the youngest player to ever play in the NBA. He was 18 years, 2 months, and 11 days old. Don't forget, he came right out of high school, and he played in the Forum against the Minnesota Timberwolves for the Lakers, and he only played a few minutes. Had a plus-minus of -8, but it was a win for the Lakers, of course, 91-82. But as history would say, the best would yet be to come, and he's arguably one of the greatest players in NBA history. 5 NBA championships under his belt, as well as 2 other appearances. Of course, tragically, is no longer with us, but his memory will always be around as a member of the history of LA, the Forum, Crypto.com Arena / Staples Center, whatever you prefer, and just, America.
It'll always be Staples Center to me, to be honest with you, because I was there several times.
It flows a lot better than Crypto.com Arena.
I can never remember it's Crypto.com. Like, oh, what's that arena called? By the way, have you seen any video or pictures of the Intuit Dome?
Oh, that looks.
Tony, have you seen any video of the Clippers'
huge.
new arena in LA?
It's huge.
Oh my God!
Really?
My favorite aspect of it is that there's a charging port at every single seat, and Steve Ballmer made it a commitment to have, I think, like 2 or 3 times as many bathrooms.
The bathroom. You'll never have to wait online for a bathroom at this place.
Yeah, Steve Ballmer is. I love Steve Ballmer. Long time.
Can he buy the Jets? Can he buy the Jets?
I mean, you gotta ask if we gotta give a good amount to Woody, and hopefully. But I like what Steve Ballmer's doing with the Clippers. He really is engaged with the team, and no matter what, I'll say this: he's committed to that team. He finally gave them a stadium, and I can't wait to see what it does.
You know what I like? You know what I like about Steve Ballmer? What he's done with the Clippers? Totally off base from what we're dealing with here in New York, but. I guess there's a little bit of Islanders in this too, because John Ledecky and Scott Malkin all steam ahead building UBS Arena and doing everything they've done in the community and not being afraid of the big bad Rangers in Manhattan. But I think this goes even deeper what Steve Ballmer has done in Los Angeles with the Clippers. I mean, that's a Laker town. I mean, you talk about Showtime, the Kobe Shaq Lakers. I mean, and the Clippers just showed up there, just like, who gives a crap about the Clippers for so many years. And Steve Ballmer said, no, we're here. I'm going to build a place that's better than Staples Center, Crypto.com, whatever the hell the name of that place is. But they built this unbelievable arena. I can't wait to go see it one day. Just state of the art, fan friendly, and just absolutely outstanding.
And Ballmer truly cares about the fans. He cares about the players. Granted, anything's a step up above Donald Sterling.
Oh God!
But truly,
you have to bring up his name.
but truly, just wonderful person, Steve. I again grew up with some of the Microsoft stuff. Phenomenal in that field, and there was concern about them moving, but they're in LA to stay.
No, they're not going anywhere now. They've established themselves, no question
Definitely.
about it. I did want to bring this up. This was announced today, the Premier Women's Hockey League, going into their second season. Last year, this was interesting. I know you know this, but for the people who don't know, they had 6 teams in the league, and they did not have nicknames last year.
They were just called.
They just was PWHL New York, Montreal, Toronto, Boston. I think Minnesota has a team as well. So they finally gave the team names and colors this year. And the New York team, and they're going to play most of their games this year at Prudential Center in New Jersey. They haven't announced where some of the other games are going to be yet, but they're going to be called the New York Sirens. And today, the Premier Women's Hockey League and Bauer unveiled the jerseys. I want to show the photo of all 6 teams first, so you can see all 6 teams that are shown. And there you see the all 6, and the Sirens jersey is on the right. And we'll go to the blue jersey first, and that's Alex Carpenter, who is wearing the blue jersey in this photo. It is that's actually Jess Eldridge wearing the white jersey.
Sorry, Mike.
No, that's okay, Tony. There's
this one?
Well, there's the blue one that's just hanging, which is, absolutely spectacular colors. They really pop out.
Is it the one all the way? Oh, is that? Oh, wow. That's like a nice little, like an aqua teal kind of color. I like that.
They did a
I like
wonderful
that.
job. So the player in the blue jersey is Alex Carpenter. There should be a photo of Alex Carpenter in the blue jersey. Did I send you that? No. Oh, that could have been my mistake. No. In any event,
I like the hexagon and then it's like the NY behind it. I like the yellow accents. I think those really make it pop.
Yeah.
I think they did a really good job here.
Oh, well, I'll hold it up to the camera here.
I'll hold it.
You hold it up to the camera. That's Alex Carpenter. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's my apologies. Alex Carpenter, player on New York, is wearing the blue jersey. And just the colors, just absolutely. There you go. Nice job, Tony. See, there's always a solution to a problem here on the show.
That green jersey looks really, really good, too.
The green jersey looks like that's Boston. I think that's Boston.
It kind of reminds me of like the Hartford Whalers in a way. But yeah. I love that.
But, they're all spectacular. And obviously we're here in New York, so we're going to favor the Sirens. But talk about those colors popping like that. Just absolutely tremendous. So the Premier Women's Hockey League heading into Season 2. Best of luck to the Sirens as you try to bring home a championship. Last order of business on the show, and I know Tony wants to have lunch, so we're gonna try and wrap this up as soon as we can. We have a couple of big guests on the show next week. Can you wait for me to say who it is?
Well, I'm excited to hear. I'm excited to hear what they are.
Whiz. Terrence Toe, who is the Senior Vice President of Sales for FE Apparel. They have a brand new line of NHL merch that we will talk about and we'll display some of it as well. They've sent some items to me and we'll unveil that on the show on Tuesday. Really outstanding stuff that they just came out with. Hoodies and reversible jackets, just incredible. Some of them pay homage to some great NHL legendary players, and we'll show you all that stuff on Tuesday. Then next Thursday, another in-studio guest, and it's going to be crowded in here because there's 2 people coming in. So there's a brand new professional basketball team that is coming to Long Island. The Suffolk County Stingrays are going to play in the new ABA, and their owner, Eric Boyd, and their head coach, Danielle Marshall, former UConn star, is going to be they're going to be in studio with us next Thursday to talk about the Stingrays getting their season underway. They're going to play their home games at Stony Brook out east, so we're very excited to welcome them in. I'm sure they're going to bring some swag. But that's Stony Brook's football. Yeah, I was gonna. No. I didn't have a picture for the Stingrays. Okay. I didn't have a picture for him. Okay. It's okay. Oh, listen, Tony. You don't have to apologize for it. I'm all over the place on this thing. No, but you can if you put the Stony Brook football thing back, I'll wish them good luck on Saturday when they take on Albany at 1 o'clock. Stony Brook off to a 7-2 start to the season. So that's going on Saturday, and also, and I mentioned this before, my son Bradley and the Westcon Wolves, they've got a game on Saturday against Framingham, noon, which is an early kickoff for them. A lot of these games have been at 5 o'clock and 4 o'clock, but 6-2, 2 more home games to go. Finish the season up strong, get that invitation to a bowl game, and a great freshman year for Bradley and also for the Westcon Wolves. I think that's it. I think I have spoken about as much. You want to say, you put your finger up in the air at me, so you want to say something.
I want to say something that's going to happen next week, but I think it'd be really nice to honor these. Over in Chicago, the National Italian American Sports Hall of Fame, I helped get in. I was the reason why 2 people made it. Bruno Banducci, an old guard from the Niners back in the 50s, and professional wrestler superstar, and I mostly know him as Mario from the 80s, Captain Lou Albano.
Captain Lou, is he got the rubber bands?
Well, I called his son Carl. He's very
passed away. Isn't Captain Lou passed away?
Died 15 years ago, but they're so happy. Bruno's granddaughter Amy, she's a principal out in California. They're both extremely happy for him. I want to give a big congratulations to them and the rest of their families for it.
Remember, Captain Lou Albano was part of that rock and wrestling connection in the 80s. That was the whole explosion with Hulk Hogan and Mr. T, and Cyndi Lauper was available. And by the way, Captain Lou was in the video with Cyndi Lauper, Girls Just Want to Have Fun, he plays her father in the video, and then they had that whole rock and wrestling connection. MTV got involved in it. It was the birth of WrestleMania, so that was a great one of the golden ages of professional wrestling.
To me, he's the original Mario. Like he's the guy that played the iconic video game character, of course. The live action. I forget who played Luigi in that, but you got like Lyle Alzado was there in one episode.
Captain Lou. And when George the Animal Steele was wrestling, Captain Lou was his manager.
Mm-hmm.
And George the Animal Steele didn't really say much other than Captain. Hey, Captain. That's what he did. Captain Lou was his manager. Hey, Captain. Anyway, I just thought I'd throw that.
I thought it'd be a fun way to end it.
Yeah, there you go. By the way, you have to be on your best behavior tomorrow night.
Don't worry, I will be.
So you know that a couple of weeks ago, Wiz did that piece from the Long Island Nets Media Day. Wiz will be covering some games for us. He is going to be covering opening night tomorrow. Who are they playing tomorrow?
They're playing the Maine Celtics.
The Maine Celtics. So it's the Brooklyn Nets affiliate against the Boston Celtics affiliate. Nassau Coliseum. It's opening night. I know they're giving away. I really want. They've been so good to us. I wanted to make sure. I got an email about this today. And if you just indulge me for just a second, opening night tomorrow, Friday, November 8th. And of course, it's taking forever for my phone to open up the email. But they're giving away something tomorrow night. You're covering it. You'll tell us all about it. You'll do some social media stuff for us.
Of course.
On this, right? You've been smiling ear to ear.
Yeah, I'm very excited for tomorrow.
Sometimes it's sickening when you do that. No, I'm just kidding. He looked at me like I was serious. In any event, thank you very much for being with us.
Appreciate
and again, thanks to my guest. It was great to have Steve Webb, the former Islander, in studio with us on the show earlier. So thanks to Wiz. Thanks to Steve Webb. Tony Walker, who spins the dials here for us, does a wonderful job. Even when something doesn't go right, it really does, because we figure out a way to work things out here on the show. Here at Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown. Sports Bash is presented by TicketBash.com and the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund. Sports Bash is sponsored by the Embassy Diner and Bethpage, Living Legends Memorabilia, our newest sponsor in Rockville Center, by Bearcat Building Service, the Marty Lyons Foundation, and by Collaborate Studios. For our entire crew, I'm Peter Schwartz. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you're listening in your car, have a great weekend. Go WestCon. And we'll see you right back here Tuesday at 1 o'clock.